DEADLINK has just seen a big update that introduces new implants, revamps aspects of the interface, and finally delivers a third biome and a new boss fight. As your resident DEADLINK shill, I'm here to break it down for you. The first thing I noticed upon starting a new run was the change to the starting upgrades that you unlock after a while. In the perma upgrades menu, you can purchase the ability to start your run with a weapon mod selection or an implant or a suit upgrade. It was always kind of a bummer to have to select only one of these whenever you start, even though you've unlocked all three. So the new system lets you choose between 3 packages, containing all the upgrades you've unlocked. It's a much more satisfying way to implement this, and it keeps me from picking shell upgrade every time. Another interface change is the implant selection screen. They've gone from horizontal to vertical, making each selection easier to read, and it sets them apart visually from the simple stat boosts you pick up. I like this change a lot, and I think there's room to take this further. Now that we have all this empty space to work with, I think there should be some kind of imagery and color applied to these different implants to make them instantly recognizable, without having to read their name or what they do. The little symbol in the square isn't cutting it. They've also introduced an implant leveling system a la Hades, where instead of choosing a new implant, you can choose to level up a current implant by boosting a characteristic it has. I love this change. It adds another level of decision making to your upgrade path, and it's going to cut down on implant clutter while you're still grinding towards additional permanent slots. Though there may need to be a cost for this. Just like how the stronger stat boosts can cost 100 credits or something, I think you should have to pay something to just keep upgrading the same implant instead of experimenting with the new ones. A small cost. And I gotta say, I'm loving the new implants in the game. We've got legendary tier C-ball implants, like the one that creates a time bubble that stops bullets from passing through, another one that knocks everyone back who's close to you, 10% of the damage dealt while mid-air will be dealt to all enemies upon landing, that's super cool, and your next melee attack will reach 300 meters further? What? Oh. Well, I wouldn't exactly call that 300 meters. Regular players may not find much use for this, but as a punch swapper, I'm loving it. These are really fun additions that give more variety to builds, and I can't wait to experiment some more. They've separated primary and secondary weapon upgrades into 2 different doors now, so you'll find a new heavy weapon door. There you can upgrade your secondary weapon, but you can also switch it out for the secondary weapon of another class, which is a fantastic idea. Mix and matching class abilities is an exciting direction for this game to go in, but there's a real lack of communication on this screen. New players aren't going to understand that some of the choices switch out their gun for another instead of upgrading the one they have, since they aren't familiar with the names and icons of all the weapons. There absolutely needs to be a clear indication that some of these choices change your weapon for that of another class. And another problem that presents itself here is that you can't skip this upgrade. So you could be playing as soldier class and be stuck with a choice of 3 upgrades for the engineer class, and now you're forced to switch to a weapon that you may not even want to use. This system needs work. And of course, there's the new interport biome. It's a very industrial environment, literally it's like a factory, and some of the arena design reminds me of UAC Atlantica from the Ancient Gods Part 1. The enemies in this biome present a serious challenge and a bit of a change to the combat loop. First of all, we have turrets on the wall that actually move. They aren't a big deal, but they can definitely annoy you. The foot soldiers run at you really fast and roll on the ground to avoid getting hit. There's new flying guys to deal with, but the real problems are the pinchers and forceps, 2 mech units that get their energy from C-balls. In some of the arenas, you'll notice that you're just not finding C-balls. That's because they're in the backs of these guys. Breaking them will cause C-balls to spawn in the arena. When the mechs have their C-balls, they gain invincibility powers. One of them makes itself invincible, and the other makes other enemies invincible. So you gotta get around their backs and break their C-balls to shut them down. It's really awkward at first, it really threw me for a loop, but by my 3rd attempt I found my rhythm and the level started getting fun. These mechs add a very interesting aspect to the combat, just the kind of shakeup the game needs at this point. Well done. However, the chaos happening in this level is starting to cause some pretty serious frame drops for me. DEADLINK has always struggled with performance, and while it's usually tolerable for me, it starts to get bad in the interport fights, and I hope the devs can prioritize overall performance in their next update. Playing on low settings at 1080p, there's just no reason for me to be sitting at 50 FPS. The new boss fight is alright. I'm not going to pretend I love it just because I love this game. It doesn't do much for me, but I also don't hate it. You shoot 4 points of a tower while avoiding hazards and fighting drones. You've got electrified surfaces, spinning lasers, and toxic spots to avoid with platforms. It's certainly different than the other 2 boss fights, and I appreciate the shakeup, but I didn't enjoy the fight that much. Maybe I will as I become more familiar with it. But it also just may be uniquely awkward for the engineer class due to his lack of mobility in situations like this. I went into the fight again with a soldier class to feel it out, and look what happened. The fight glitched and he died immediately. So yeah, that needs to be investigated. I did another run as soldier and actually fought the boss, and sure, it's better when you're able to use the orbs to get around, but I still found the fight kinda tedious. Beyond that, new challenge rooms have been added to each biome. Previously, there was only 1 type of challenge per biome, and now they've added 4 more, now containing new elite forms of enemies. Biomes now have fewer combat rooms, so runs are a little shorter now. I see this as a good change, but we'll see what other players think. We're also getting stat changes for the classes. You can see those right here. Pause the video if you want to check it out. And there's a really nice buff to Engineer, giving him infinite ammo while Wormlink is connected to a C-ball. Overall, this is a great update for DEADLINK. It was thrilling to play the new level, the new enemies are fun, the music kicks ass as always, and there's lots of cool lore included to learn all about this new location. I'm hoping they can focus on performance going forward as the game gears up for an official release. I will be there to be its biggest cheerleader. DEADLINK is in early access right now, please support this game, it's brilliant.